Good afternoon, book lovers. It's Robert Boyd coming at you with a new book report. Well, this time it's not really a book, it's a magazine called Superpresent. And Superpresent is a local publication. I'm in Houston, of course, so local to Houston. And that was the first issue that I showed you the cover of, and I'm not sure how frequently it's going to come out, but who knows. Anyway, it's an art and literature magazine, basically. The editor's name is nowhere on this magazine, or on the website, as far as I can tell. I happen to know that the editor is Kevin Clement, and I just don't know why. He didn't put his name on the magazine, but he should have, because he should be proud of it. So it's a combination of visual art, poetry, and fiction, and at least one music review, and one piece that I think is probably nonfiction. Anyway, the cover is by Christy Pete. She is a Houston photographer, and there's several pictures from this series called Holding Court, and it's a series that she did as kind of a response to being cooped up during COVID. And so she takes self-portraits with heavy makeup on and costumes, and she describes it as as exploring identity and drag, which is kind of interesting because she's a woman, so drag is kind of a male thing, but it's a male thing. It's a male thing that pays homage to women, and the techniques are available to anyone, I guess. And her pictures are great. As I'm saying this, I'm showing you a series of them, and I will put a link to her website on the page. So one of the first things that you see is you get to is a poem by or three poems by, and I'm going to guess on this pronunciation. I think his name is Welsh. Cynwyd y Cariad Hayden, English poet, although perhaps Welsh. And the first poem, which I would read to you, but would be awkward, is a first-person poem about a girl masturbating and being worried that her parents are going to come upstairs. And then the second poem, Lush Recluse, is the other end of life. A recluse, elderly, shut-in woman, and how her neighbors don't know what her story is. Then we have a couple of images by a Houston artist named John Edelman, and I've known John for several years, and I'd never seen his sculptures, and so these are détournements, I guess. He's taken actual existing sculptures and added these smiley face heads to them. But the work I know him for is this really dense, kind of mathematically determined drawings, and where he'll write out the entire dictionary word by word, or all the M's, and that will be the drawing. It'll just be this dense skein of illegible marks, but if you know the technique behind them, they're not that illegible. But something totally different from him in Superpresent. Then there's a story by a guy named R.C. Rice. Let me make sure I got that right. That is correct. R.C. Rice, and called Taz, Like the Devil. And except I don't know if it's a story or whether he's writing a memoir about meeting or encountering a kind of a scary dude in a bar who calls himself Taz, and I found it amusing, and sort of like, it's one of these things where you go You go to a bar, a public place, you meet somebody, and they turn out to be kind of, scary in a way, but not necessarily threatening. In fact, the opposite of threatening. Taz seems like a really friendly guy. Anyway, it was good. Then there's a review by Brandon Hernsberger, a review of a singer-songwriter named Phoebe Bridges, which is, the review itself is kind of hyperbolic. And I looked up Phoebe. At first I was saying, is this a piece of fiction disguised as a review? And, there are many people who've engaged in that kind of game. Borges, for one. There are others, too. But it's, kind of a common postmodern way of allowing yourself to write a review of a work without having to write the whole work. So it's like, you think this would be a good novel or a good record or whatever. You write the review of what you would like it to be, but it's actually a totally fictional review. But in this case, it is not a fictional review. It's a real review, and Phoebe Bridges is a real person, and the review is kind of hyperbolic. Like, if I read it in a I don't know, a newspaper or something, I would feel distrustful because he likes it so much. Then I'm going to show you a couple of pictures by Justin Varner. He's I don't really know anything about him. I assume he's a Houston artist, and he's an assemblagist, obviously. And this kind of green one that I'm going to show you right now, when I saw it, I was immediately reminded of a painting by Howard Hodgkins, which I'm going to show you right now, called Evening Sea, that is on view at, well, I don't know if it's on view right now, but it's usually on view at the Museum of Fine Arts here in Houston. I have no idea if Justin Varner has ever seen Evening Sea, but they have similar colors. And the back cover is by a Houston photographer. It's also a friend of mine named David McLean, and it's called, for obvious reasons, Pussy. And I have no idea. I mean, he did take a photograph. I have no idea what this is actually a photograph of. I think it's probably not an actual photograph of a pussy, but could be. And so I don't really know what the impetus behind making this magazine was, except that it's fun to make magazines. As many of you listeners will know, that I made a one-issue art and literature magazine a few years back called Issue, which can be ordered. Just hit the store button on my website. So I assume there's a similar impetus there, but I don't really know. And I do know, though, that at least 5 of the contributors, and maybe more, are teachers at Houston Community College, and Kevin Clement is as well. And so I think, in a way, it feels like a Houston Community College project. But as far as I can tell, Houston Community College is not mentioned anywhere in the book, and so perhaps that's an unfair description of it. But if the editor is teaching at Houston Community College, he's probably got access to a bunch of writers and artists who also teach there, and familiarity with their work. It's a good place. I mean, if you're trying to make a magazine, you start off with people you know. And for a professor at Houston Community College, there's going to be other HCC teachers. Anyway, I recommend it. You can order it from their website, and I will put a link up. I think they're selling it for like $12 or something, but I think you can just download it for free or some nominal charge. In any case, go to their website and check it out. Thanks very much. Have a good day.